Hi there everybody, today I'm recording a little bit late, but anyhow, today we have a patron suggestion and a lot of people actually requested this video in the comment section below, so I decided to take it on today because as some of you know, probably everybody already, I'm actually Croatian and I'm always interested how non-Croatians, or let's say better say non-Europeans outside of the European Union or Europe represent my country. So let's see what they got here for us. It's geography now. I already watched this video a few years ago. So as always, I'm gonna, add some information that I know, maybe correct some things, add some things that are maybe new to the geopolitical situation on the Western Balkan area, whatever you want to call, or wherever you want to categorize Croatia. If you want to correct me, add something interesting, just let me know in the comment section below. Okay, let's jump in. And the original video is also in the description below.
So it is brought to you by Live Meat. Yes, Game of Thrones was filmed here.
True. In Dubrovnik.
No! Hey everyone, I'm your host Barbie. We are back in Europe and today we are going to discuss 101 Dalmatian Islands. Ha! Actually, it's more like 580. But first.
Yeah, the Dalmatian dogs.
The flag of Croatia is a little bit more fun and jubilant than most flags because it has the iconic...
Look at the flag. It's so beautiful. It's the best country. The best. The most best. I love Croatia. I don't know about you guys, but I love Croatia. I don't care about anything that you say, but Croatia is the best country in the world.
Checker pattern in the center. First of all, the flag is a horizontal tricolor that utilizes the pan-Slavic colors of red, white, and blue in equally sized stripes. The blue stands for freedom and hope, the white stands for peace and unity, and the red stands for the revolution and sacrifices. In the middle is the coat of arms with the iconic
I don't know about that. Yeah, red, white, and blue are the colors of the so-called pan-Slavic movement, which is basically a movement that was created in the 19th century, where the Slavic nations had an idea to join in one big state of all the Slavs in Europe, or to make more cooperations between the Slavic countries. But red, white, and blue, the tricolor, we call it the trobojnica, was actually first officially used in the revolutionary year of 1848, and red and white represents actually Croatia proper, which is surrounding Zagreb, and white and blue represents region of Slavonia, so the eastern parts of Croatia. I don't know about the meaning of red, white, and blue. Maybe that's also the meaning what he said, but the tricolor as we have it today was first used in 1848 by the Croatian Ban called Josip Jelačić. Okay, šahovnica.
The revolution and sacrifices. In the middle is the coat of arms with the iconic šahovnica, or checkerboard shield patterned with red and white squares, sometimes referred to as the Čeki. Some will say that this is because long ago there were like two Croatias. One was called Red Croatia, one was called White Croatia, with little evidence supporting that theory. There are 5 shields on top of the Čeki that form...
There are theories, there are also some documents talking about red and white Croatia dating back to the 11th, 12th century, but... yeah. Okay, so the territory where today's parts of Montenegro are, Dubrovnik and parts of Dalmatia, were called Red Croatia by some people in the Middle Ages and before that. Up from that was called White Croatia. So there are people who called, like some territories where Croats lived, White and Red Croatia. So,
called White Croatia.
But there is actually an interesting theory about the šahovnica. So it is said one of the legends is that one Croatian king actually got captured by the Venetians, and then he needed to play chess in order to be released. If he wins, he is going to be released. And he won in the game of chess 3 times in a row, and he got his freedom. So, that's why it kind of looks like a checkboard also.
5 shields on top of the Čeki that form a crown above the
Croatia
šahovnica,
proper,
each one representing the historical regions
Dalmatia,
of Croatia.
Istra,
The first one
Slovenia.
is for Croatia proper with a crescent and a 6-point star. Dubrovnik with 2 red stripes.
Okay, this is the part where Croatia was. Dubrovnik was also a separate state until the Napoleonic Wars, so it was called the Dubrovnik Republic.
A dark blue shield, Dalmatia with 3 crowned leopard heads,
Yeah.
Illustria with a golden goat with red hooves because, hey, why not? And finally, Slavonia with a 6-pointed star, 2 silver stripes, and a pine marten running on a red field between the silver stripes. Yeah, for such a small country, those 5 regions have had an impactful historical upbringing. Let's discuss more about that in.
And the last region, that was incorporated into Croatia was actually Istria, although the biggest population in Istria throughout history were Croats and Slovenes, so Slavs, and a big Italian minority. The Martin thing is very interesting. We call it the kuna, and it's also today's currency in Croatia. So we don't have the euro as some European countries, but we use the kuna, and the Martin was used prior to that. Its fur was used as a currency back in history. So that's why we call our currency kuna.
Yeah, for such a small country, those 5 regions have had an impactful historical upbringing. Let's discuss more about that in.
No.
First off, before we jump in, you might hear a lot of other countries, specifically in the Slavic world, using the word Hrvatska referring to this country instead of Croatia.
Nice pronunciation,
kind of
actually.
like the whole thing with Germany.
Hrvatska.
Wir sind Deutschland.
Oh, you mean Germany?
Allemand?
Tyskland, Niemcy, Saksa.
Nein!
Saxon.
First off, Croatia is located
For all the Germans watching, yeah, we also call you Niemcy. Niemaczka.
on the western part of the Balkan Peninsula in southern Europe, bordered by Slovenia, Hungary, Serbia, hugging Bosnia and Herzegovina, giving them a small coast on the town of Neum, and just barely
Bosnia.
have a 10-mile or 16-kilometer wide border with Montenegro at the southernmost tip of the country on the Adriatic Sea. The country is divided into 20 counties, and the country's capital is Zagreb.
They're
Fun
called
side note, the small
Županija.
Bosnian Herzegovinian port of Neum splits the country's Dalmatian coast, technically creating an exclave for the Dubrovnik-Neretva area. They were thinking of building a bridge on the Pelješac Peninsula so the entire country would be
Pelješac.
navigable by road, but plans were canceled in 2012.
And they renewed the plans, and they're building that bridge actually right now. And there's actually an interesting history about the Ottomans and the Dubrovnik Republic. So as I told you, this part of Croatia where the city of Dubrovnik is, it was a separate state. So it was called the Dubrovnik Republic, and their arch enemies were actually the Venetians that are somewhere around here. And when the Ottomans invaded the Balkan area and they conquered, like Serbia, Bosnia, parts of Croatia and so on, the Dubrovnik Republic actually somewhere around here, the Neum area, was bordering the Venetians, and they were thinking like, if we border the Venetians, it's more likely that they invade our lands with troops. So eventually the Dubrovnik Republic just gave the small parts, the small territory on their border to the Ottoman Empire so that they don't border the Venetians and that they cannot attack them directly. So it's an interesting side note in history.
Speaking of which, historically, Croatia was divided into 4 general regions. You'll probably hear a lot about these if you go to Croatia. They are Croatia proper, Istria, Slavonia, and Dalmatia. Speaking of which, Dalmatian dogs are said to have origins in Dalmatia, hence Dalmatian. Okay, no more rabbit trails. We really need to get back on top. Now, of course, because of its complicated past that we really don't have a lot of time to discuss, Croatia has quite a few land and sea disputes, as well as enclaves and exclaves. But I'm just going to list some of the most.
Is he going to
ones.
mention
The Bay of
Slovenia?
Piran, the Dragona River, the Sveta Gera, all that mess on the Mura and Drava rivers. Then we get to Serbia, and it looks like earphones that were just pulled out of your pocket. Funny thing is, nobody really pays much attention to these places, which is why when outsiders do, funny things happen. Back in 2015, a Czech guy came in and self-proclaimed his own micronation called Liberland on the supposedly unclaimed island in the Danube.
Yeah.
He was totally arrested.
Yeah,
But he wasn't the only one.
was.
2 other guys
Yeah,
tried
he
unsuccessfully
was.
to attempt the same thing on separate islands and failed. The country has over
Just a quick note that today's borders of Croatia were established in 1945 after the Second World War. The newest territories that Croatia gained were Istria and Baranja. The territories that they gave up was Srijem, which belongs to today's Serbia, and also small parts given to Montenegro. I'm just gonna go over the independent state of Croatia. I'm not gonna talk about how they also incorporated Bosnia and Herzegovina. That's a totally different story. But Istria and Baranja were the newest lands given to the Croats.
1,000 islands on the Adriatic coast, even though only about 50 of them are inhabited. The largest ones being Cres and Krk, which even though Croatia ranks around one...
Try to pronounce it. Cres and Krk. but Kres, it's not Kres, it's Tres. I know it's hard for foreigners, but it's also hard for me to speak English, so...
125 in country landmass, it's all the way up to spot 20 in coastline length. That's more than Sweden and South Africa combined.
A lot of islands.
In your face, Mongolia! By the way, homework assignment, see if you can find this heart-shaped island off of Croatia's coast.
It's
Zagreb
called
may be the capital,
Galešnjak.
but people come here to see Pula,
It's,
Zadar.
the heart-shaped island is pretty... It's pretty. Just look at some pictures. It's called Galešnjak and it's near Zadar, the city of Zadar.
Split and Dubrovnik. The Croatian coast is acclaimed by many to be by far one of the most captivating places in the entire world to visit, especially to witness a sunset. Oh yeah, and Zadar has a strange thing called a sea organ that looks and sounds like this.
Hey,
okay, let's talk about plants and animals.
We're proud of the sea organs. It's just basically just waves hitting the sea organ and then producing sound of nature.
Stuff now, shall we? Okay, so Croatia may be primarily known for its coast. However, that doesn't mean that there aren't any notable features inland. Although a lot of the land outside of urban centers is used for farming, Croatia still retains some world-renowned nature zones and national parks. First of all, the country is kind of split along the Dinaric Alps that meander diagonally across the northwest regions all the way to the south.
It's a pretty diverse
The division kind of encapsulates the inner flatter areas that slope down into the Pannonian Basin where all the rivers like the mighty Danube flow. Because of this division, Croatia experiences quite a contrast in climate even though the country takes up a small area. Zagreb can be completely different from Dubrovnik at any given time. About half of the entire country is made up of karst topography, which is basically another word for dissolved, cavey, limestoney ground that erodes into fascinating shapes and providing a network of
we have a lot of caves.
Cavey area. Just like we studied in Bulgaria, Croatia is loaded with caves. It's not that hard to find them, and many of them are absolutely breathtaking. Caves like the Blue Grotto on Bishevo Island and the incredibly deep Velebit caves that go down nearly 1,400 meters. Ah, that's cute. The one place that everyone in Croatia will proudly boast over will be the famous Plitvice National Park, which contains the Plitvice waterfalls and lakes, which is where the coolest music duo on the planet, Stephen Hauser and Luka Šulić, filmed their Mumford & Sons cover video. I can't believe I missed you guys like a month ago when you came into my town and did a concert. Sorry, I love Two Cellos. They're a great band. What? I can like music. Croatia also has that small
in the world. Also, I would recommend if you ever visit Croatia and you want to see some natural beauties, we have a lot of national parks and parks of nature, whatever it's called in English. Taleščica, I would definitely recommend you Taleščica. I would also recommend you Krka, but definitely Plitvička jezera. It's breathtaking. And in Krka, in the National Park Krka, you can actually go and take a swim under a waterfall. So it's pretty amazing.
Desert and a wide range of wildlife such as bats, otters, elk, boar, martens, wolves, and that incredibly rare Eurasian lynx, the largest land cat in Europe that can be found here as well. The coast, though, once again takes the center stage when it comes to Croatia's spotlight.
He didn't mention the Bjeloglavi soup. We're actually pretty proud about the Bjeloglavi soup. It's an old big bird that's only found in the coastlines of the Mediterranean Sea in Croatia and Italy and alongside the African coast. And it's a big vulture, you know, like thousands of years old species. And it's actually inhabited on the island of Cres that he mentioned some time ago.
Because of its islands and coast, Croatia has had a huge boost in tourism in the past 2 decades, an industry that outsiders didn't exactly have access to prior to the longest time, and the reason why will be discussed in...
Oh God, now it begins.
A really long history on who it is and how it got to where it is now, and I'm just going to summarize it in like 8 seconds.
8 seconds?
Empire, kingdom, subordinate, empire state, wars with Turkey, Yugoslavia 1, Nazi puppet, Yugoslavia 2, civil war, and finally, European Union member. See, that wasn't so hard.
You forgot the Illyrians!
First, the country has about 4.5 million
Yeah, he
people
did. Okay, I'm also going to summarize it, not in 8 seconds, but you know that I need to put some additional information into it. Okay, so on today's territory of Croatia, they were first the Illyrians. So you had the Histrians, the Liburns, the Dalmatian, other Illyrian tribes. Then they were subjugated by the Roman Empire around the 1st century AD. The Croats came around the 7th century to the coastline of today's Croatia. Croatians were first under the rule of the Franks, Frankish Empire, so Charles the Great. Then they established their own kingdom with a dynasty called Trpimirović until 1102, when a so-called document, Pacta Conventa, was signed where the Croats were joined into Hungary, into a personal union with Hungary. After that, you know, like the Ottoman wars against the Ottomans, the Hungarians lose at the Battle of Mohacs, 1526. Then the Hungarians and Croats, parts of the Hungarian territory, and Croatia joined the Habsburgs. Croats were then inside of the Austrian Empire until the end of the First World War. Then they joined the state of Slovenes, Croats, and Serbs. Then they quickly joined with Serbia into a new state. Let's just to simplify it, call it the first Yugoslavia, which was a monarchic Yugoslavia. Second World War, Croatia was a fascist puppet state controlled by Italy and Germany. It had its own fascist regime called the Ustasha. They did atrocities against Serbs, Jews, and other minorities and groups, especially against Serbs. 45, they join again with all the ex-first Yugoslavia Slavs into a new communist Yugoslavia, which was actually a one-party state run by the Yugoslav Communist Party until the 90s, when the Yugoslav War started, and then Croatia gained independence. And today's Croatian coat of arms, the crown, and everything, that's actually from the 90s.
And is actually one of the 30 or so countries experiencing a population decline. The country is made up
True.
almost entirely of ethnic Croats, around 91%. Serbs make up about 5%.
Serbs, Italians, and Hungarians.
Slavic, but
and
Italian.
For all the Czech viewers, we have also a big Czech minority around the city of Daruvar. Maybe you would like to check it if you're interested in it.
Jews, and why not some Chinese, and hey, you got Croatia.
But the biggest minority is Serbians.
Episode, pretty much everybody in the Slavic Balkan nations can understand each other, especially
True.
these four countries. The only difference is that these two write in the Cyrillic alphabet and these two write in the Latin alphabet. It's a little more difficult for these four countries to understand the remaining Baltic states, like Slovenes and Bulgarians and Macedonians. I mean, the former Yugoslav Republic. Just call them Macedonians.
True.
I don't get why you are. Wait, you're just
Bulgaria.
claiming
I'm not even
yours.
part of you. I never
It's
was part of
mine.
you. You always
It's
think I am.
mine.
Guys, can we get back to my episode?
Shut up, Croatia!
Nonetheless, the
When I was in Skopje, actually a lot of Macedonians came to me and said, you know, like, Croatia is their promised land. They love Croatia. I don't know why, but people are fascinated with Croatia. And I also love North Macedonia now. It's not former whatever, it's now North Macedonia officially.
The funny thing is, pretty much all Slavs, whether they're from Russia, Poland, or the Czech Republic, which by the way just changed its English name to Czechia, or the Balkan Slavs, can all pretty much hold a basic, simple conversation with each other and get by if they speak really slow and articulate well. It would be like if a Jamaican guy tried to speak to a Singlish-speaking guy.
Behind the statue, the coffee shop with the boom boom.
No, I say it's on the right side of the statue.
The statue, I'm gonna look behind. I'm not gonna look to right, man.
Alamak, you use
right.
This reminds me so much of Poland.
Alamak, no lah. You know this is right, this is left. You very simple
They're
one.
right. Okay, they're right. Okay. All you had to say is they're right, not
This
back.
reminds me
Clear
so
now.
much of Poland. Oh my god.
Alamak,
On
give
the
you
right.
simple instruction also don't know.
You are clear now.
Okay lah, win already lah.
Guys, that was Kevin and Leighton. Give him a round of applause. Rather quickly, you can tell this.
Okay, just a quick note. Yeah, we can understand each other without any flaws. Slovenes, there are already some, you know, like Bulgarians and Macedonians. Yeah, there are quite some difference. Poland, I love you, but I can't talk to Polish people, you know, like I cannot understand them. I know some basic words, bardzo dobrze, I don't know, jeden, dwa, that's the same thing as in Croatian, but no, it's completely different. Polish, although it's a Slavic language, I would say I understand 20-30% Polish.
The Slavic Balkan states apart is the denomination. Croats and Slovenes are predominantly Catholic, while
Yep.
Serbs and Montenegrins are typically Orthodox. Croatians love water polo, and don't even get started on the whole Nikola Tesla thing. He was a Serb.
But he was born here.
But he was a Serb!
But
He
he,
was
was
born
born
here.
here.
Essentially, Croatia went from the fall
Okay, let's piss off both sides, the Croats and the Serbs. He was an Austro-Hungarian. Okay.
All of Yugoslavia and socialism in the 90s and the Civil War in the mid-90s to being labeled as the top travel destination by Lonely Planet in 2000-something. I think it was like 2005.
Dude, Paul, seriously, we gotta check our sources. You're making us look bad.
Shut up, Brandon. I'm doing my best. Let's talk about Croatia's friends.
Oh, friends and enemies. Okay.
In order to understand Croatia's friends, you kind of have to look at two things, business and religion. First of all, they're neighbors. When it comes to Serbia
history.
and Croatia, it's kind of like, part of Serbia, part of Croatia. I don't get it. It doesn't make it.
Kinda true.
Croatia and Serbia have a
Kinda
lot
true.
of historical beef, but they hate to kind of admit that they secretly are kind of a little bit totally attracted and hot for each other. Business and diplomacy is still very big between these two, and ultimately they still cooperate pretty well. I was told that typically they even give each other a lot of points in Eurovision or something like that, and that just proves it. Eurovision proves everything.
Yeah.
Slovenia was like...
With Serbia, you know, like on political level, yeah, a lot of politicians have, you know, like a lot of beef with each other, and they always try to prompt up, you know, like, hey, Serbs did that, Croats did that, but most of the people that I know, is it Serbs, Croats, Bosniaks, whoever, they practically don't care. They live along and just say, you know, like the saying, live and let live. So, I don't know. Most of the people just don't care anymore if you're Serb or Croat or whatever. Of course, because of the war in the 90s, a lot of the people have bad experiences from the war, and they're still alive today. So, you know, like, it translates also to the relationship that those two countries have. But I would say that the majority of Croatians just don't care. Slovenia.
A good friend that still held a few grudges since Slovenia was the first to join the EU, and they originally vouched for Croatia, but then they were like, wait, before you get in, we gotta settle some disputes, otherwise I'm blocking you. And they did, and then it got messy, and then it got fixed. The end. By default, Croatia has an affinity for Catholic-dominated countries like Italy.
But we love Slovenians. You know, like, we always make the joke, like, in the ex-Yugoslav countries, you're in a room, Croats, Bosniaks, Serbs, I don't know, Montenegrins, we all drink beer and talk about stupid things and joke around, and then comes Slovenia along drinking an expensive wine, wants to talk about the stock exchange and the meaning of life and so on. So yeah.
Italy, Spain, and Ireland, especially the Irish, since they kind of empathize with the whole struggle with the UK, and they are totally fangirls of the Vatican.
Yeah,
when it comes to their best friends, however,
but I don't know about Ireland. I know that a lot of Croats went. A lot of my friends also went to Ireland to work and live there. I would say that we love the culture, you know, like the pub culture, the beautiful landscape, and the kind of the easygoing of the Irish. So I wouldn't say that we're fans, you know, like we love Ireland, but we definitely love some aspects of the Irish culture.
Struggle with the UK, and they are totally fangirls of the Vatican.
That's true.
When it comes to their best friends, however, they would probably say Germany and Poland. Germany is a really close friend.
And Austria. I live in Austria.
And
Austria too.
Croatians moved in and made fortunes there. Germans also love visiting and doing business. Without a doubt, though, Croatians love it when the Polish stop by. They're like the best friend who lives far away but Skypes every week and sees them twice a year. On top of that, Pope John Paul II was from Poland, who liked Croatia so much that he visited 3 times.
True.
In conclusion, Croatia is kind of like the surfer.
As for Poland, I don't know why, but somehow all the people are kind of, I wouldn't say obsessed, but they love Polish history. A lot of Croats would, when they research, you know, like the history of Eastern Europe or the USSR, maybe that's because Poland was also always throughout history under the influence and under the control of big powers, and Croatia was also always under the rule of, you know, like big other outside dynasties. One of the Polish dishes that's, you know, like widely spread throughout Poland, it's pierogi, pieroge, wir nennen das. We call it pieroge. We also cook it here in Croatia.
Cousin of the Slavic countries. After all the drama subsided, he opened up a hotel and a tiki bar on the beach, got a tan, and was all like, "What's up, world? Come take a vacation in Croatia." Stay tuned. Cuba is coming up next. Hey, Geography people. So Geography Now just got its second sponsor. Download the
Thank you, Geography.
app if you'd like to live stream with me. I try to go on as much.
Okay, I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that I could get give some clarification on some stuff, and maybe give you up-to-date stuff that's happening right now. surrounding Croatia and in Croatia. But yeah, I mean, most of the stuff is true that he's saying, but I would emphasize a lot of the people always, when they talk about the Balkans, the Western Balkans, the Southeastern Europe, whatever you want to call it, they always look at the beef between Croats and Serbs. But I would emphasize that most of the people in Croatia and in Serbia, they regular people, not politicians and so on, they just don't care. They just want to live and let live. Okay, hope that you enjoyed it. If you want to join Patreon, the link is down in the description below. And we have also something new, channel memberships directly on YouTube. If you don't want to go and register on Patreon, you can also join the channel via channel memberships. The perks are identical as on Patreon. It's just Patreon. It's just maybe a more comfortable thing for some people to do. Okay, hope that you enjoyed it once again, and until next time, see ya.